also have our Assistant Minister for Infrastructure and Mr. Tebita, team of coordinators from EFL, leader Brother Tomasi, distinguished guests, warm welcome to each and everyone here in today's program. This is the first time ever a minister has come here to do the official program. Chief guest, the Minister for Infrastructure, Transport and Disaster Management.
The Commissioner Northern, Mr. Chavesa, were there. Members of the Rural Advisory Committee, teachers, members of the community here, and school children. First of all, I'd like to say it's great to be here this afternoon, and I apologize for the fact that we're late. We didn't realize how much it takes with all the other commitments that we had today. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, it's a very good afternoon to be here. And I have a great pleasure to be with you this afternoon at the commissioning of the arrival of electricity in our area. Since I've arrived yesterday in the Northern Division, I have had the opportunity to see the developments, witness the developments that are taking place here. That are taking place quite rapidly. And government through its Look North policy will continue to put in place good, proper, sustainable developments and dynamic infrastructure so that we can maintain this growth. And this is in line and complements the Fiji First Government Manifesto about development in the north and elsewhere in Fiji. Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one way that such historic funding towards infrastructure and services is possible, and that is through our growing economy. The only way we can continue to do this if our economy continues to grow. And that is what government has been focusing on these past few years. We now have a record of 9 unbroken years of economic growth, and we're headed into our 10th straight year of consecutive economic growth under the leadership of our Prime Minister and under the Fiji First Party. That means we're headed for even greater prosperity and even greater opportunity for all Fijians in our country. And as we move towards prosperity, the things that we want to do, it's very important for us to keep in mind the rights that we have for all the people in our country. Now, 2013 Constitution highlights the things that the people of this country have the right to expect, their rights. The right to transportation, the right to housing and sanitation, the right to food and water, the right to health, and for today's occasion, the right for access to electricity. And that is what we will continue to focus on. This morning I had the privilege of commissioning the rural water project at Nakavika village to ensure that they have access to clean drinking water. And as Minister responsible for electricity and for electrification, I've had the privilege of overseeing the programs that have been done nationwide to try to bring electricity to our people. In the last census that we had in 2017, we found that 96%, almost 100% of all the people in Fiji have access to some sort of electricity. There's only a 4% that is left. And it is our goal, as a government, is our goal to be able to get to that last 4%. And we know that nearly 80% of all the people in our country are now hooked up to the EFL grid. The other 16%, they have their own solar home systems that the government has also been introducing. So today, I'm glad to be here at Wunimanudha for the launching of this particular program. It's another step towards the target of bringing electricity and access to energy to everybody in this country. And that has been the goal and will continue to be our goal. The completion of this extension is a result of a lot of planning, a lot of thinking, and a steady flow of investment from this government. Over the past 5 years, government has given $224 million for the energy sector, and 70% of that has gone to rural areas. Funding of electrification in rural areas like this, places like Wunimanudha or out in the other parts of Fiji. Over 25,000 Fijian households have felt the benefits of the development. But we will continue to focus on this sector. We've set aside another additional $60 million to add another 6,623 households to the number that have access to electricity. I've been advised that apart from Tandravula, Nasoso and Wunimanudha Primary School, which has already been wired and connected to the grid, government is in the process of finalizing the award of contract on the house wiring for the other households. In addition, government has also invested an additional $2.1 million for the extension of the grid for stage 2. This will be an additional 82 households with around 400 people. Furthermore, there are other major grid extension projects taking place in the Seaqaqa area, including Solove Stage 1 at a cost of $3.3 million with 106 households, and Langa Langa settlement at a cost of $4.45 million with 264 households. So that's all part of the drive to bring electricity. This part of the world is particularly important for us because we know the importance of the sugar industry. And it's the importance of bringing power to areas like this that contribute to the growth of sugarcane, which in turn fuels the development of our country. So we'll continue to invest in these areas. Ladies and gentlemen, this government has removed the contributions that used to be levied to the communities, and you here in Wunimanuza and the surrounding communities have benefited from this initiative. Before, we used to ask people to pay certain money before the electricity could come. Now government has removed all of those and made sure that the government itself gives money to EFL so that they bring the electricity right to your doorsteps. On top of that, for families who earn less than $30,000 a year, we'll fund 50% of your monthly electricity bill, or up to 100 kilowatt hours. The forms are available with our Department of Energy offices. This can be filled and dropped at the EFL office in Lambasa, so that those that have the least money, they can also have access to subsidized electricity. And additionally, when you hook up to the EFL grid, you also have the opportunity to be one of the owners of EFL. You get to get shares in EFL, and that is obtain part of the 5% non-voting shares in EFL that all customers of EFL have the right to get. All of these are unprecedented and well-orchestrated initiatives of the government to ease the burden, improve the well-being of ordinary Fijians. And I think for all of us, for government, we'd like to thank the efforts of EFL, the chairman, the board, the management, and the staff for all the work that they've done. Government has paid them to do this work, but they're carrying out a great work for bringing power to all of us. EFL has been on the front lines of empowering our people by empowering our nation. When cyclones have struck our country, EFL landsmen and women have put in the countless hours it's taken to get power quickly back online in affected communities. And EFL is spearheading one of our most important commitments to securing a sustainable future by lighting the way forward in a nationwide shift to generate 100% of our energy from clean and renewable sources by the year 2036. That's going to be our next challenge. First, to bring you the electricity. Secondly, to move away from electricity generated from burning diesel and fossil fuel and move that towards renewable energy. That's going to be the next challenge. Because as we burn more diesel fuel, what's the impact of that? What's the impact of burning more fossil fuel? Do you know? Climate change. Climate change is impacting your lives right now. It's impacting our lives right now. And if the world doesn't do something about it, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Sea level rising, all of these things. So that's going to be two challenges that we have for electricity. One, bring the power to the people. Secondly, change where we're getting that power from burning fossil fuels to make sure that we're getting it out of renewable sources. Solar energy, hydro, those sorts of sources. Because the world cannot afford for us to keep on burning fossil fuel. The world gets hotter, sea level rise, all sorts of things happen, and we will be okay, but these children and their children's children, we might leave for them a world in which they cannot sustain their lives in this world. So that's going to be our next challenge. I know that, as I said, I know that previously many in our communities were relying on diesel generators, but this is something that government is focusing on getting out of into the future. Generators alone can't bear the energy demands of an entire community. They're not reliable. They end up being very expensive. And you know also that the energy that they give is very useful, but we need to move towards that renewable and clean energy for the future of our country. So ladies and gentlemen, as you get the electricity today, I hope that it's put to good use. Electricity can be used in many different ways. It's a tool. It's a tool for bettering one's life. I think it's obviously going to give a lot of opportunities for students to be able to study better. I hope they'll have access to, I don't know whether you get the telephone services here and the TV services, they all arrive, they all come in this area. Yeah, so Access to, now you know in the world you don't need, for us adults, you don't need teachers to teach you. You don't need teachers anymore. You got one of these things, you can teach yourself. Eh? You got one of these things. One of the problems that we have, these things we use for the wrong reason. We use it for what? Facebook and all that stuff. And it's very good if it gets in the hands of the children. We have an opportunity to be able to use this for betterment of ourselves. Even for professionals, workers in civil service, a lot of things, you don't need somebody to teach you. You can find it. You can find it and teach yourself. There's so much good stuff that is here. So that is what I'm trying to say is that electricity comes. Let's make sure that we use it for the betterment of our own lives, for our community, and especially for the lives of our children. With all those words, it's a great pleasure to be here. Government will continue to give its full support because that's what government is for. You elect a government to do two things for you. You elect a government to lead you, and you elect a government to serve you. And the government will make sure that we will continue to do this. God bless us all, and may you find a great development in the electricity that we have at Jone. Maka. Okay. Oh, dan mo bring on ang
with few other very important services here. And with that, Sangha district is also Manuda community